What's up, guys? Welcome to another MarbleCast. We have an amazing episode for you today with KC Storley, the nutrition coach from Thriving On. So Alice introduced me to KC, and we're going to talk about her nutrition background and her athletic background. She's also a badass weightlifter, competes at nationals, and she competed this past nationals in July in Detroit. So we're going to get to know her a little bit. We hope you enjoy this episode. Let's check it out. Well, KC Storley, how are we doing? Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you've been weightlifting for a while. How long have you been weightlifting?
For about 4 or 5 years. I mean, I did CrossFit before, but I didn't do weightlifting until, it's actually a funny story. Blanco found me in a CrossFit weightlifting seminar. I was lifting. And he was like, what's your numbers? What's your weight? You want to try this thing called weightlifting? I was like, yeah, sure. And of course, flew out to New York, did my first weightlifting meet, and from there on, I was sold. Like, it was like, no more heavy breathing. I like this lifting stuff, so it's been a fun ride.
I know, that's the way I do it too. I started weightlifting with my brother, and then I found CrossFit, and then I went back to weightlifting because the chaos of CrossFit workouts, not knowing what I was going to get myself into, that's where I was just like, I didn't want to play anymore.
No.
For competing purposes, anyway. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, all right. So you were doing a seminar out in Nebraska, and he was talking you into weightlifting, or?
No, we actually met in Minnesota. So there was a seminar out in Minnesota. Normally, Blanco does like the Northeast, but he randomly did one in Minnesota. It wasn't too far of a trip, and my husband has family up there, so we were just like, yeah, let's just go up there, stay there. Did a quick seminar during that weekend, so funny how that worked out.
Yeah, that's awesome. How long were you doing CrossFit before you did that seminar?
About 3.5 years. Right.
Oh, so you were like real into it.
Yeah, I was real into it. At that point, I had my L2. I wanted to start getting more credentials and explore the idea of getting an L3, or even seeing if there was something within the CrossFit seminar staff. You know, just getting like really into it. I knew that I wanted to coach, and I knew that I was really passionate about CrossFit. So that's what drove me to get going on that.
I like the CrossFit seminars. I like the level 1, the way it's run. It's very informative, and the way they do it. Some of the things I sort of disagree with the way they teach it, but I mean, I understand where they're coming from. I haven't done the level 2 yet because I was supposed to do it during the pandemic, but then everything was all shut down, so I just did the level 1 online to renew.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend doing the level 2.
Yeah.
I loved it. I mean, the level 1 is a lot of fun. It's like when you actually get back on coaching. And like instead of just everybody watch like in a group and they're walking around watching your movement, they like watch other people in a group doing a certain movement, and they coach you on coaching. They like specifically critique you, and it's very constructive. It does help with like learning how to coach other people, and so much more than the level 1, definitely.
Yeah. Have you done the weightlifting level 1s and 2s and stuff like that?
I did the weightlifting level 1 during the pandemic. Yeah, so I just started going into the realm of like, I was just an athlete, and then I really liked coaching. And so I was like, hey, Blanco, what about me being a coach? And so we've been slowly getting into like a mentorship. I got my level 1, and now I'm starting to learn how to program and coach and all this fun stuff. It's been a fun ride.
That's great. And he just moved gyms, right? Well, he just moved locations?
He did. Yep, he did. He just opened up a new gym. It's called the Brooklyn Training Hall.
Okay. So is he not affiliated with Virtuosity anymore? What was he, like, had he stopped doing that for a while? Or was this is his first venture out?
Yep, this is his first venture out. So he got his new place, got everything in there. They're starting to get everything put down, painting up the place, making it look nice. It's starting to come together. So
that's awesome. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, because he had the spot with Virtuosity for a while, because that's when I first met him back in maybe 2012. where they weren't even a barbell club. I think he was just coaching over at Virtuosity, and everybody was doing CrossFit. So like we would go to the open, and like all the gyms in the area would host a week. So like you'd have Virtuosity would have one, South Brooklyn would have one, LIC would do another one. Like we would just skirt around. I don't know if they did that in Nebraska.
No, they don't do anything like that in Nebraska.
Oh, okay. When did you start? How long ago did you start?
Start what?
CrossFit, sorry.
2014 is when I started it.
Okay. Yeah, so like 2014 was when it was like starting to get a little bit bigger, and the gyms were starting to get a little bit more like actually a business, not a hobby. So like back in 2010, everybody was just very friendly with one another. It was like, all right, we're going to do the open really big. So we would just go around every box every week, and it would be like a little competition, kind of like weightlifting has the local competitions. This was the open for CrossFit. At the time, there were no like local CrossFit competitions. So this was it.
Yeah, it was like the OG hole in the wall places where it's just like, who cares what about fancy equipment? Let's just get this stuff done and breathe heavy and have fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good. Now everybody has the fancy stuff, and whatever. Everything's all crazy now, but it's cool. All right. Anyways, so you own a nutrition business. Let's talk about that a little bit. So Thrive on KC, is that what it's called?
So no, my business is called Thriving On.
Thriving On, right? Sorry.
Thriving On KC is my Instagram handle. So it is a functional nutrition coaching business. I coach many different types of people. I do coach a lot of weightlifters, a lot of performance athletes, but I work with a lot of different types of people. The commonality amongst them all is that they're all high performing, right? There's the reason why I call it Thriving On is because I take people that feel like they're just surviving, like going through life. They're like, yeah, okay, whatever, and they want to thrive, right? They don't want to just go through life just going through the motions. They want to know what it feels like to feel great, to think great, to move great, how to take care of themselves, and essentially be a CEO of their own damn health.
Sure.
So I work with a lot of high-performing people, a lot of personal trainers, a lot of coaches, a lot of athletes, nurses, firefighters, police officers, or people that just like, they're the type A personality. They're like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. Like, I want to feel great. I also work with a lot of entrepreneurs, just because you are your own business. If you don't take care of yourself, right, that's something you left on the table.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like an investment in their own business, their own health. So it's a lot of fun working with some like really hardworking people that want to know how to thrive in life.
Awesome. And what made you get started in nutrition? Like, what got you into that? Was it just a performance aspect, and then you needed the rest of it?
So anytime, like, if you ask anybody that's a nutrition coach, for the most part, it's because they themselves went through something in life, like a poor relationship with nutrition, and they saw what it felt like to create a better relationship with food and actually see the results that they're looking for, and so they want to teach other people. So that my main driver is that, like, growing up, I was not a healthy person. I was like, at some points, like pre-diabetic, almost 200 pounds, and for my size, that just was not healthy. I also was like a borderline alcoholic. Like, it was just not a very good time in my life. And then I found CrossFit, and then I also found nutrition, and I was like, oh, these things are awesome. And as a CrossFit coach, a lot of times there were like challenges. I liked geeking out about nutrition, so they always had me run those challenges. And then from there, like, as I got more into CrossFit coaching, it doesn't pay a lot. So a lot of times CrossFit coaches do personal training or have their own side gigs. So my side gig turned to nutrition coaching because I travel a lot for weightlifting too, so it had to be remote. It turned out to be just like the side gig, just the extra income. But over the years, I just fell in love with it so much so that actually like 7 months ago, I went full in. It's my full-time job. And it's like, I love what I do. It's been a lot of fun. We're blown up to the point where I'm trying to hire on assistant coaches and get an assistant and trying to keep building the business. So
that's awesome. That's an incredible transformation. 200 pounds you were? Oh, that's incredible. What were like the first days of CrossFit like for you
Oh,
to
it was
make
horrible.
that change?
Like on a personal level, it was terrifying. I was literally, so when I went to CrossFit, I actually didn't want to go,
Did
but
somebody like force you to go, or did you see it and you were like,
yeah,
let me try it? Okay, go
I
ahead.
was forced to go. I was definitely forced to go. So I was like just in a really bad position in life. I was like, again, like never sleeping, eating like crap. I was always partying. And at that time I played college softball. I was a Division I college softball player, but like because I wasn't taking care of myself, I was constantly injured. I wasn't performing really well. My coaches were really worried about me. They're even like, hey, you need to get yourself into shape. And so my dad was just like, long story short, I had some pretty big scares with alcohol. Like one time I woke up in a ditch 30 minutes out of town, not knowing how I got there. And I only had 1% on the battery of my phone, calling my dad to come pick me up. And that was kind of like the final straw. He was like, you're cleaning up, no more drinking. You're going down to the road to this thing called CrossFit. You're going to start working out. And I was terrified. I didn't want to go. I was like shaking, borderline crying, walking in, like, I guess I have to do this on board, like this free trial thing. And so I went in there and they went through a whole workout. But these people were just so nice. And this community of people just like welcoming me and asking me questions and like, being like, good job, keep going, let's go. Like I was like, I've never experienced this in my whole life. Like this is awesome. So I was sold, did the on ramp, like loved it even more. And then my first workout after on ramp was actually Murph.
Nah, terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I mean I scaled the crap out of it. And even the coaches were trying to tell me to like, hey, maybe you should do half, maybe you should do this. But like I'm also extremely competitive and stubborn. So I was like, no, I'm doing it all. And so I did banded pull-ups, push-ups on my knees, air squats. And by the way, like I was a softball catcher. So for 14 years, I was up on my toes, knees caved in, rounded out like this, like, and they're like, oh, chest up, flat feet, like keep your chest, like knees out. And I'm like falling on my ass 24/7. So they had to put a med ball underneath me during the squats because I just did not have good form at that time. And I remember walking out just completely annihilated, but my personality was just like, I fell in love with it. The coaches messaged me because they're like, we're afraid that we scared you away. But I was like, no, like I'm coming back tomorrow. And they're like, actually, you should probably take a couple rest days. Once you come back at the end of the week. Yeah. And I was like, okay, sure. So the next day I couldn't walk. And I was just like, of course, again, my personality, I fell in love with it. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. That's incredible, sticking with it. Because sometimes you see these people that walk in, like I see these people walk in the door, and I try to give them as good an experience as I can. But you know what? If I can't do anything if they don't come back, and I never know whether or not they're going to stick with it or if I scared them off. And it's just like, it's a crapshoot with sometimes with the new people.
Yeah, and like CrossFit or weightlifting or whatever sport, it attracts a certain type of person.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that community is filled with like-minded people. That's what makes a great community. So if it weeds out some of the people, that's okay. Like that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. It's just sometimes it's just like, damn it, what did I do wrong? Or like,
oh yeah, that's true. Every good coach is like that. It's like, what could I have done better?
Yeah.
Every good coach is like that.
So your dad brought you to CrossFit. Was he doing it with you, or did he just like make you go to this gym? How did he?
We just saw this thing on TV.
Okay.
I think we were watching and it was Camille Bazinet. I think it was that year that she won, possibly. Yeah.
Okay.
Was it 2014? So yeah. And
yeah,
I was
14
just like,
I think was her. 15 I think was Katrin.
Yeah, there you go. And I was just like, okay, that's kind of cool. I could never do that. I don't want to do that. And my dad's like, screw it. Like, he looked on Google and he's like, go do it. He didn't start doing it until a couple years ago, like a few years after I started. And then all of a sudden they got like a really bad, am I allowed to cuss? Sorry, a really cool.
You can curse.
Okay, cool, awesome. I'm a daughter of a construction worker, so that's
good.
just horrible. But like they had a really badass garage gym now. And
Are
so they
you
do all
saying
their
ass
workouts
was the curse that you didn't want to say?
Well, I don't know. Some people, yes, I have to just make sure. trying to be respectful here, Joe.
It's all good. No, yeah, you can say whatever
Yeah.
you want on this. It's fine. I won't bleep it out. It's all good. This is, you know, if they curse on TBS now, we can curse on the MarbleCast for a YouTube video.
Good.
Are your parents still out there, or everybody move East Coast?
So everybody lives in Nebraska. So I've lived in Nebraska majority of the time while working with Blanco and the Brooklyn Barbell Club. My husband and I also lived in Texas for about 6 months, and then we lived in Arizona. We moved a little bit for his job, and then after we got married, we both were like, yeah, we miss family. Let's move back, be closer to family, especially during the pandemic. It was perfect timing. It was just being surrounded by people during that time is probably the best thing. And so I frequently fly out to Brooklyn, but I don't actually live there.
Oh, so you're still in Nebraska?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
like, for as long as we started, like, people joke that I practically live in Brooklyn, but whenever I visited, I would visit like every 2 to 3 months, and I would stay there anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. And so in Virtuosity, they have that upstairs loft for
Right.
the coaches area. One of the rooms is actually a closet in which they made a bunk bed in there, and so I would live in there. Like, I would live in that little closet in the little bunk bed, and just like there was like a shower, a microwave, a fridge, so I would just live up there like a college dorm. So it was a literal gym rat for a while.
Nice.
So
Totally legal, guys. Totally legal subletting in the
yes,
gym.
totally. Now I just sleep on friends' couches now. So
Oh, the bunk bed sounds way better.
yeah, sometimes yeah, it was. The only downfall was waking up to barbells in the morning when you had a late night of work trying to catch up.
Sure.
So that was the only downfall.
Yeah. But it's cool in Brooklyn because you can just walk around and go to a coffee shop and chill out or do whatever.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause everything's within walking distance. Totally different than Nebraska,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure.
Totally different than Nebraska,
Yeah.
for sure. I was definitely a very naive Midwest girl in her own bubble when I first came to New York, and then just was like, oh, wow, there's different ways to live and everything like that. So it's definitely opened up my eyes to like different cultures, getting myself out of my own personal bubble, met people I never thought in a million years I would ever meet these type of people or have these type of experiences. So I really do love it when I come visit Brooklyn and New York.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a cool experience. I mean, I grew up in Brooklyn, so I don't share the same excitement for it as you do, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I'm the opposite. I want to get away from all the people.
Yes, definitely understandable. Like there is a certain point where it's like, okay, I'm in Brooklyn for like a couple weeks. I'm like, all right, I kind of need space.
Yeah.
Kind of need just me time.
Yeah.
So when I do come back, it's nice.
So you started weightlifting. When was your first competition?
My first competition was the Battalion Hall.
Lost
meet.
Battalion Hall.
Yeah, Lost Battalion Hall meet. That was my first competition, my first weightlifting competition, period, and first time being in New York. So basically what happened was when I joined on Blanco's team, it was understood that we would do like 3 months of programming, then I would fly to New York and I would do that meet. And that meet would hopefully qualify me for American Open Finals. And so going there, like the total that I had to hit was like something like 177. And I had never hit those numbers before, not even like attempts in training. I've never even attempted those numbers. And so when I showed up there, like we did what we could leading in. I showed up about like 3 or 4 days before the meet, and we kind of made little fine tweaks. At that point, I was definitely one of those girls where it's like I was strong and I was fast, but it was definitely like grip and rip, like just like wah, all over the place. So he did some fine tuning leading in, and did my first attempts, and I hit 77 on snatch. So all I had to do was hit 100 on clean and jerk.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
never
all.
hit any. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. I never hit anything above 95 at that point.
Okay.
And that was maybe once or twice in my whole like attempts in CrossFit or in our training leading up. And so we hit like the first number of a clean and jerk. I think we hit like 95 or 96 or something like that, which was awesome. And I was super happy. But he came out to me, he's like, if you want to go to finals, you have to hit 100. So it's up to you. Do you want to do 98 or do you want to do 100? And I was like, put 100 on the bar. And so second attempt, we did 100 and just missed it on the jerk. And then the third one, nailed it. It was a good experience. And like, I think just like everybody was there, knew what was happening. So when I finally hit it, they were like, yeah. And I was like, this is awesome. So that was my first experience with weightlifting.
Whoa. That's a good first experience. I can't say I had that same first experience.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My first experience, like learning more about it, like not necessarily everybody's experience.
What is the process like with you and Blanco being as remote? Like how often are you sending him videos and him giving you feedback?
Yeah. At the very beginning, it was quite frequent. We would probably Zoom 2 times a week. I would set up my computer. He would watch. We'd do feedback. I would send him videos for every movement via the like we use True Coach, and he would assess it. But as I got a little bit more versed with weightlifting, I gained a little bit more independence. Blanco's really big on that. He's like, you got to take ownership. You got to be independent. Because it just helps the coach-athlete relationship. If you learn how to be independent, you can make changes on your own, making the whole process faster. So as I become more independent, I still send him videos, but it's a lot of times it's like, hey, I did this, I'm going to make this correction. And a lot of times I'm like, hey, I'm feeling this. Like sometimes when I do this, it corrects it. Do you mind if I do that? And it's just a lot of give and take and feedback. And then we'll Zoom call maybe like once a week, unless it's like one of those times where it's like, I feel like I'm hitting my head up against the wall and I just can't figure it out. Can you please help me so I at least feel like I kind of know how to lift weights? We all run into those moments, especially if we're really fried.
Sure.
And haven't gotten much sleep. So he'll show a little bit more attention when I need it. But I'm pretty independent at this point. And then he'll do training camps in which all of our remote athletes, we do have a few more remote athletes in Nebraska, some in Jersey, and a few other places will fly in and will come for a whole week. All the competitive athletes that want to do it for the training week will take time off of work, will come in and will train like sometimes 2 days, depending on the person, and just usually at the end of the training camp, we'll have like some type of tester, like whether it's an in-house meet or a local meet there. So he does a lot for us. It's really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. The training camp with the remote athletes and everybody comes in. That must be just like an awesome time, just like a vacation of weightlifting.
Yeah, well, for me, I still work because I work for Blanco, and then when you own your own business, you know this, there's no time off. Like,
right. But you don't have to be somewhere. You can do this while you're not weightlifting, sitting around. Yeah. So it's not as bad as I have to be here all day, every day. Completely different. Yeah. So if I want to have a training camp here, I'm not the one being an athlete. I'm the one coaching it, and then it's not the same experience. But it's still fun.
Yes, definitely.
So how you qualified for AO finals. Did you go?
Yes, did.
Okay. How'd you do?
I did okay. I think what happened was in the AO finals when we went, it was the one that followed Worlds.
Okay.
So everybody and their mother was there. It was an amazing venue. Like, I had no experience of what it was like to be at a national event. So everybody's like, look at this weightlifter, look at this weightlifter, you know, like celebrity in the weightlifting world. And just so much going on that I just got overwhelmed, and I psyched myself out, and I made lifts, but it wasn't what we expected, and I just was like, all right, I am a baby in this. I need to kind of like settle myself down and learn how to lift on a platform in front of people. So it was a really great learning experience for sure.
So your second competition was AO finals. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a rough way to go, but that's all right. That happens. You just get thrown in the fire, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, but like that's my personality.
That's fine.
Like Blanca was like, we can go to finals. You qualified for it, or we can just keep doing local meets. And I was like, no, I want to do finals. Like all my teammates will be there. I want to experience stuff. I'm definitely I like to do those types of things. I like to learn from my mistakes. I like to put myself in uncomfortable situations. That's just how I roll. So like I was like, let's do it. I don't care. Let's go big or go home. Like let's do it. And I don't regret it one bit. It was so much fun, and I learned so much just from that.
Yeah, that's a great experience. And how many meets have you done since that?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head.
Because that were what, 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago. Shoot, I don't know. Probably like 10 or 12.
And you've done
No.
AO finals again and nationals?
Yeah, I've always done AO finals. I've always done nationals every single year. Um, I've done like one international meet, and then a few local meets. A lot of in-house meets too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What were
During
your-
pandemic,
Yeah.
there was nothing, obviously.
Yeah. Pandemic was how did you fare during the pandemic? Like, what did you end up doing?
During the pandemic, I actually got hit pretty hard, just because majority of my clientele is up in the Northeast, right? So they got hit real hard. So I ended up having like a third of the clientele that I originally had. So we ended up having to move in with my parents at that time because it was just so like I had no business. And my husband at that time, like right before pandemic hit, made a transition in his career. He didn't like what he was doing. And so he went into an apprenticeship, which was a huge pay cut. So we were both like, crap. So as many people in the pandemic, a lot of people moved in with their parents just to like save money. And we gotten ourselves in a better position. I started like diving a little bit more into nutrition coaching and building the business. And Nebraska was a little different than New York. We could still get around. We just had to wear a mask. It wasn't as restricted just because there's not as many people in Nebraska. It's a little bit more spread out. So I was still able to coach CrossFit. I was still able to have like a side gig here and there to make money, but it was definitely tough. Like a lot of people would relate to. So.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a weird. It's still weird. It's just I don't know. It was a weird year 2020, and it's still getting weirder, I think.
Yeah.
So it's just.
Oh yeah. I don't think this is the end.
No, it's not the end. But I also don't think it's going anywhere. So it's just I don't know. We're stuck with it. So let's just move on, and whatever happens, happens. So it's good that you're able to do your nutrition. My gym's open,
Yeah.
Blanco's open, moving up into a bigger spot. So this is great. So everything's working out, seems.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So Alice introduced you to me. How did you meet Alice?
Oh, I met her at a meet. Who was she with? She was with one other girl, and I think with Diana, if I remember right. I think that was actually the first meet I ever met. Diana, Alice, and then there was another girl that was with them. I just can't remember off the top of my head. And she is so lovely. I love Alice. She just always puts a smile on my face. I really do enjoy coaching her. We've been together for a while too, so.
Yeah, Alice is great, and she's very coachable.
Oh yes.
She listens,
yes.
she does everything she needs to do, and she makes a lot of progress. So she's great.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we're trying to get her to qualify for the AO finals. We're all going out to New Mexico. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're not going to New Mexico, right?
As of right now, no.
Is
But
anybody
that
from there going, or?
We're still deciding, I think. I think there's a few that have their sights on it, but it's kind of still like up in the air, trying to figure it out if it's something that we want to do or if we just want to wait until finals. So we usually make those decisions at the last minute. Sometimes it is what it is.
Well, this meet seems like it's going to be a little bit smaller because not many people are going to go because it was a change of venue from Canada to New Mexico. And then now they're going virtual with it, so it's hybrid. So I think even less people are going to go. So it might just be us out there in New Mexico and Albuquerque throwing some weights around. We'll see. The Marble weightlifting crew. That'll be fun.
For sure.
Yeah. I made a bet with Mo. He has to total big if he wants to make some money.
Yeah.
So get after it, Mo. We'll see what's going on. All right. So you're working with Alice. And you do, what is your protocol for new clients? Like, what do you do with them? Like, how do you assess everything from the start?
Yeah, for sure. So like I said before, I'm a functional nutrition coach. Like, I'm not a macro coach. I don't go like, hey, here's your macros, hit it, good job, keep doing it, kind of a thing. I take a very, I guess what you would call is a very holistic approach to my clients. I not only assess like how much they're eating, what they're eating, but I also assess like how's their stress management, how's their biofeedback, how is their relationship with food, how is their stress management protocol. Like, I take a look into everything because we have thousands and thousands of diets out there. We have thousands and thousands of macro coaches out there, and yet we're still not healthy. We're still not making the progress that we're looking for. Why is that? It's because nutrition is so much more than just like, hey, hit these goals or follow this cookie cutter program, right? We have such emotional connection, and also like we are the choices that we make every single day. We are the perfect picture of the choices that we make. So if you want to make change within your health, within nutrition and fitness, right, you have to address yourself as a whole. So that's what I do with new clients is I address them as a whole. We create awareness, and then from there we create a roadmap wherever they want to be. Whether it is let's shed some fat, build some muscle, whether it is to perform at their best, whether it is to improve their health so that way they can perform better as a entrepreneur or whatever job that they have. I do have some clients that have some functional issues like hormone health, gut issues, lack of energy, things like that they come to me for some guidance. And then I also have other people on my roster in which I refer them out just because it's nice to have some reputable people that you can trust on your side to help. Because I'm a nutrition coach, I have my scope of knowledge. So just referring out to people that I trust to my clients, it's nice to have like somebody that you can go to and ask questions and all that stuff. We're actually in the middle of collaborating with a functional doctor business called Thrive Medicine. So that my clients can get blood work done. If they have hormonal issues, they can go to them to help them. They'll give them actionable steps in a very holistic functional approach that aligns up with how I coach. And then it's pretty much like a one-stop shop for health.
Wow,
right?
That's great.
Yeah, so I specialize in 3 things. Metabolic restoration. So a lot of times, because we have been conditioned to think that we need to eat less and move more, our metabolism health, our metabolic health is shit. And we're not burning calories. We're also not getting enough nourishment. We're chronically stressed. We're under recovering, and our body is just super pissed off at us. And if you want to perform better, if you want to look better naked, if you want to be healthier, it just stands to say if your body's pissed off at you, it's not going to happen. Right? So by restoring your metabolism, you increase your potential of nutrients you're going to take. That's your medicine. You want to stay healthy, happy, energized, look better naked, you need your medicine, right? You need those nutrients. And then what also happens is that people fall off of diets or something like that is because in order for them to maintain their weight, they're only eating 1,500 calories every single day for most people, especially if they're stressed, because they don't eat enough every single day. You can't fit in the beer that you want. You can't fit in the pizza that you want. It's very hard to sustain.
Yeah.
Right? So by boosting your metabolism, you're increasing the amount of calories that you're going to be eating. You're going to be able to fit more fun things in your life, making it more enjoyable, more sustainable, and you increase your health overall. That way you can optimize whatever goal that you have, whether it's muscle building, fat loss, performance, whatever it is.
What's one way that you use to boost somebody's metabolism?
There's a specific protocol, but like it's like taking a look at biofeedback. It's also taking a look at like how much you're eating and what you're eating and how does it relate to your health. Like sometimes people can be like, I have some clients that have been in the CrossFit realm for years. They work out all the time. They eat quote unquote clean or somewhat healthy, but something's still going on, right? And so we take a look at their blood work and their hormone health, and their health is like shit. Like what you eat and how much you eat, they both matter. One does not overspeak, like is more important than the other. They work together, and then you have to kind of take a look at the person as a whole, right? Just because this worked for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for the other. So how do we personally tailor this for you specifically? And usually when you start taking that approach, your body feels happier, feels safer. It's going to be more inclined to hold on to muscle. Muscle burns more calories, therefore boosting your metabolism. And it's just like it's basically just summarizing it. If you give your body what it needs to be healthy and happy, your body's going to feel safer. It's going to start burning more calories. Your metabolism goes up without really having to change anything.
So what is so how long does that process take when you first start with a client, and how to figure out where their hormone levels are, and get them to restore the metabolism?
As long as it needs. It depends on the person. And this is the really frustrating part when you go to a very functional approach. When you ditch the cookie cutter programs, when you ditch the templates and all that shit that we have already established doesn't work in the long run, you have to take a look at the person. What's their diet history like? What kind of stress are they in? What's their stress management protocol?
So if I was going to start with you today, what would be like your first question to me?
It depends.
Okay.
Again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it depends on your goals. It depends on like, you also have to get into, it's quite a nuance.
What information do you need? We'll do a little hypothetical now.
Yeah, hypothetical. The first thing that I always do is just create awareness, right? We don't change a damn thing. Because like, if you need to make the correct educated decisions to get you where you need to be, we do know where you are starting right now. So how much are you eating? What are you eating?
How often? How much? Like how many meals a day? Okay, so
not necessarily, just the total amount, right? And also, is the total amount of times that you're eating in the day helpful or working against you? I have some clients that only eat 2 times a day. I have some clients that eat more. It's completely dependent on the person.
Okay.
Right? So it's more about creating awareness, and then it's a lot of listening. What do you want? What's going to work for you?
So hypothetical. I don't count calories or anything like that, so I have no idea how many calories I'm taking in. And I sleep like shit now just because I just had a kid, and my wife sleeps even less than me, so she's a true champion, you know. All right, so 4 to 5 meals a day. Figure I'm having some sort of protein, rice, and vegetable every meal, and snacks because I'm fatty. Sleeping, let's say 5-6 hours, and my goals are I'm at like 84 right now. I got to get to 81 by December, so it's not like super crucial.
Okay. Yeah. So the first,
if you need more information, you can. Go ahead.
No, what I would do is like, first step is create awareness. Like, how much are you sleeping every single night? How's your biofeedback? I would have you start tracking, just because it's like, you can't make educated decisions unless you know where you're starting at. It's like going to a financial advisor. Hey, I want to save money, and I want to create a retirement plan, and I want to go on vacation and buy a new house, but I don't want to track my finances. They're going to be like, okay, go find somebody else because that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you have a specific goal, you need to make changes from what you're doing right now. In order to make the correct educated decisions to make changes, you need to create awareness. Right? So the first thing I would have you do is just simply start tracking. Right? What are you doing right now? What do you do on the weekends? What do you do when you're stressed? How are you recovering? How's your, like, all the biofeedback? That's super important. Hormone health, digestive health, like, how are you sleeping? How are you managing stress? Are you experiencing brain fog? Just get a very, very good picture of what's going on, and then from there I triage. What's
Okay.
the most important thing that we need to address for you in order for you to get healthier? Okay, great. What's the next thing?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And we keep building. And then from there, like, what I do with all of my clients is, and I don't care who the hell you are. I don't care if you're my professional athlete or Joe Schmo down the road that doesn't know what a freaking vegetable is. Everybody needs to earn the right to go whatever progressional phase, like whatever dieting phase that you want. Everybody thinks it's a privilege, but it's not. It needs to be earned. Because if you just start where you're at, like let's say a weightlifter came to you and they're like, hey, I want to snatch and I want to make nationals, but I don't want to do barbell work. You're going to be like,
Good luck with that.
okay, yeah, that's not going to work. Sorry.
Yeah, go grab a
It's the
dumbbell.
same
That
thing.
sounds good.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same approach. It's like, I want to look better naked, be healthier, perform better in the gym, have better hormone health, like all these different things. But we need to start with the foundation. We need to start with the basics. And not only do we need to know it and understand it, we need to get really good at it. We need to build a really good base. So no matter who I have, even if my clients think that they're very well educated, everybody has blind spots. Everybody sucks at something. We all have a suck bucket. And so I go through this protocol in which we build a really good foundation. And once they build a good foundation, then that's when we go into whatever progressional phase that we need, whether it's a fat loss phase or performance phase or muscle building phase, right? So even if I have clients that need to make weight, they come to me 4 weeks before and I've never worked with them. I'm like, sorry, go find somebody else. I don't do quick fixes. Because if we start now, I know nothing about you. I could potentially actually be putting you at risk, doing harm simply because I don't know anything about you. So like if athletes or anybody comes and signs up, like something that we pride ourselves on and thriving on is like we do shit right. We don't cut corners. We don't do what's easy. We do shit right. Because I'm here not only to get you results, but I'm here to get you results for life, especially my athletes.
For
right?
sure.
Especially weightlifting. That's a long game. The ones that stay in it for 5, 10, 15 years, those are the ones that are truly amazing. But you see so many athletes coming in only to die out because they're not taking the long road. Right? They show up, they do great for 2 years, and all of a sudden they burn out and they can't do anything anymore. Right? So
Yeah.
I help mitigate that as much as possible as a coach. It's like, okay, dude, like, let's just get you healthy. Because just because you're an athlete doesn't mean that you're healthy.
So you have to get
Right.
people to hold themselves accountable and actually do the work, which is the hardest
Yeah,
part for a lot of
definitely.
people. Like,
Oh, yeah.
getting people to meal prep, I've noticed, is very difficult if they're not like really into it, especially if they hate cooking. So like,
Oh, yeah.
I try to give them the other options of then get a meal prep service, do this, at one point I was cooking food for people because it was just easier than me
Yeah.
telling them what to eat and them not eating it or ignoring me. So I was like, here's food, go eat that. But the majority of my diet, meat, vegetables, rice, pretty much every meal, and it's been good for me. My questions that I'm not so good at is like, during competition, there's like certain spikes you want and certain crashes you want to avoid. So when you're coaching somebody at a competition, like how do you know when to give them more sugar or they need this, they need that first? Like what is that approach after weigh-ins or even before weigh-ins? It depends on the person, obviously. So let's just go out super hypothetical, basic general person. They
Basic
made weight.
general.
They made weight. They're
They made
they're
weight.
2 hours. They're an hour and a half from the competition.
Yeah, it entirely depends on the person. Okay, so like when I start with an athlete, if we do this correctly and they come to me in advance, we practice this, right? Do we go through a major weight cut? No, but we practice the protocol in which they're going to do after a meet, right? And sometimes my athletes have already done things in the past. They come to me because before it was shit. They want to learn how to make weight that's easy and doesn't affect their performance. So we learned already what didn't work, right? And we build from there. Because what's stressful to one person, because we also have to consider perceived stress, right? I have an athlete, she does not sauna. She literally freaks the hell out in a sauna. So sauna's off the table. So we have a different protocol. Well, I have another athlete that actually really loves sauna and would rather sauna than do a water cut, right? So it depends on the perceived stress. What do they think and feel is easier on them, and they can perform better, right? With that being said, then you have to kind of like figure out, okay, how hard is that on the body? How dehydrated they are? How much do they eat going in, right? And then also, then they already know what works for them. They practice certain foods on their heavy days, right? They practice their certain amounts and how they feel and how to adjust it. We practice all of that leading in.
Sure.
Right? That way, when they show up, they know exactly what they need. And then from there, we kind of self-assess. Like sometimes, especially females, you get there and all of a sudden a period came out of nowhere and you have to make adjustments. And then so you constantly have to make adjustments from there. But like, this is a really frustrating thing to say, but it's like, it just depends on the person.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Their preferences, their history, what they did leading in. But a lot of times the most common things that you need to be doing is rehydrating them, right? Getting more carbohydrates in their system, and making sure that you're doing it in a manner that doesn't overwhelm their system, right? Everybody's done the mistake of eating too much, and then all of a sudden they feel like they're going to throw up, especially when you're at a high stress state, like getting ready for a meet. People's stomachs tend to be a little bit more sensitive than others.
Especially
right?
if you've
So
been like barely eating to make weight.
Yeah, so you have to definitely do it in a manner in which it's like fits their needs.
Yeah.
Right.
What is something that you do? Like, do you have like a ritual of snacks that you have or meals that you use before competition and then mid competition, like between snatch and clean and jerk?
Yeah. Okay. So for me personally, my favorite is always going to be like chicken and rice.
Yeah.
I like to keep it nice and simple. I have clients that don't do what I do, right? This isn't just like a set thing. It's just more about like, let's figure out what works best for you. So mine has always been chicken and rice. Sometimes I'll drizzle a little honey on it too. Kind of tastes like chicken and waffles, but we're just trying to get a moderate amount of protein, lots of carbs in my system. And then trying to get some electrolytes and everything like that. But I haven't cut weight in a few years now. So like that was what I used to do. I don't even know what I do now. I just kind of like go in and just eat whatever I usually do on a heavy day and just call it good.
Yeah. So. I don't like to change things up too much. Like I'll have the same thing, some chicken rice or turkey rice and vegetables right after I weigh in. Then maybe about 20 minutes before we're lifting, I'll start to have some caffeine and just taking bites of like a Snickers bar before snatch.
Yeah.
And then post snatch, I'll do like a protein shake and then eat the rest of the Snickers bar. And then just keep caffeinated, like almost like microdosing with caffeine the entire time so that I don't get too spiked, but I'm just sipping on it the whole time. That's the way I like to do it. It's worked out pretty good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll learn when you start really getting into this, you learn that there's no one right way to do things.
For sure. Yeah.
Right? The magic happens when you stop paying attention to what other people do and you start paying attention to what you need.
Yeah,
what you work with, right? Because like what works for me doesn't work for somebody else. Like I was listening to a podcast with they were talking about coaching Jessica Lucero and how every single time she weighed in after her meet, her choice of meal was a meatball sub. And when you start learning about like how certain foods react to your body in a stress state and after making weight, that doesn't necessarily line up with the guidelines, but who cares? It worked for her. Obviously, she's like a phenomenal weightlifter. So it's like there's some guidelines, but it's ultimately like what works best for you. If you found that, keep going. There's no need to change it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way I operate. And I agree. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. But you got to have a base understanding of what you need, and where you can go from there is, there's little tweaks that you can do. But for sure, you have to understand what you need in the kitchen and pay attention to everything and have some sort of routine. Because if you're just sort of guessing, it's no fun. You're going to have a bad time.
For sure.
All right. So you run these 21-day challenges?
Yeah, I just did my first one.
Okay, talk to me about that.
Yeah, so we're actually just finishing up. It's the last couple days of the 21-day challenge. So I'm the type of person where I actually hate challenges. Most challenges.
I thought you said you liked challenge because you're competitive.
I do like challenges in life. I hate nutrition challenges or fitness challenges because most of the time, all it is like, here, buy a bunch of supplements in order to enter it that you don't need. And then let's put you on a super, super low calorie, AKA just starve yourself. And then we're going to reward somebody that lost the most amount of weight. Screw if you're healthier, screw if you're happier. You just are smaller and you weigh less. So here's a bunch of money. And it's like, how, like, that just feeds right back into the diet culture that we're trying to get away from, of yo-yo dieting and disordered eating and like continuously doing all this work only to go back to what you were doing before because it didn't work. Right? And so I hated challenges. And then I actually got challenged by another coach because I had this conversation with him earlier, and he was like, we were talking about whether or not tracking your food was unhealthy, like creating disordered eating. And I put out the point of it's not the tool that needs to be demonized. It's how you use it that matters, right? You can use a hammer to build up a house, or you can tear it down, right? You don't demonize the hammer, you address the person and how they're using it, right? So I made that argument, and then we started talking about challenges, and then he just turned the tables right back at me, and he's like, maybe it's not the challenge that we need to demonize, maybe it's how you use it. What if you just made a challenge that actually helped people? I was like, touche, challenge accepted, let's freaking do it. And so I started thinking about this and putting it together. And so basically what it is it's a challenge that it's basically what I have every single client of mine start with. Some of the basic, simple things that everybody can do that has such a huge, huge impact in your health, and not only in your health, your performance if you're a performance athlete. Like, I don't care who you are, whether you're in a muscle building phase, fat loss phase, if you're reverse dieting, if you're in maintenance, if you're a performance athlete, or just somebody that's trying to get healthier and happier, you can do this challenge, right? And each week for 3 weeks, we have like new tasks that you have to do, and it's rewarded by participation and consistency. Above all, fitness, nutrition, consistency is like, keep coming back, keep doing the things, it will add up. And so we're rewarding that. And we're also giving education to allow people to eventually become a CEO of their own damn health, right? And it's been so much fun. A lot of really great feedback. Plan on doing it again. I've actually had a few gyms, like a few of my friends that are personal trainers or CrossFit coaches or weightlifting coaches. I'm already having conversations with them about doing it within like their own gym or their own teams. So I think that we're gonna make this something to stay. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I know we spoke about it to do it here, so
yeah, we did.
Love to get that started for our community here at Dark Athletics at Marble. So we'll talk more about setting that up, and hopefully we can do that for the fall and get everybody back on track for that first 3 weeks, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, KC. So I appreciate your time here today. Any last words of advice for people who have no idea how to get started in nutrition, but they think they want to, but they just don't know what step to take?
Yeah, for sure. What I would say is start with the basics, right? The basics are going to be your biggest bang for your buck. It's about 80% of the work right there. Don't get distracted by sexy shit. Supplements aren't going to help you, right? Magic pills don't exist. That juice cleanse is just a waste of your money. Like, start with the basics. Sleep more. Put something green on your plate. Drink some water. Like, coffee is not water. Like, drink water, right? And lift something heavy every once in a while. Like, walk around a little bit more. I promise you, if you just start with those basics, which is basically what the challenge is all about, like, you can ask all the people that participate in the challenge. It makes a huge difference. And it really does, like, it's it's not sexy. I will be 100% honest. Like, it's not sexy. At times it's arbitrary. Like, you're just like, you just have to keep doing it. But people that are successful, they understand that the basics are the most important. And they don't just learn the basics, but they master them. It just becomes a part of who they are. It's just something that they just do. So, like, my suggestion is just do the basics. Do it every single day. And then build from there. Build on top of that. Build a really good foundation. And that's what's going to create the success that you're looking for.
Be consistent, guys, for sure. All right, Casey, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We appreciate your time. You can find Casey on Instagram, Thrive on KC. If you guys need any information, it's down below in the description. And age is inevitable, weakness is not. So get out there and lift some shit. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching today's MarbleCast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any content. Check out our Spreadshirt shop to grab some swag. And if you would like to support the MarbleCast, please head over to anchor.fm. All of the links are in the description, and it helps us out to keep the channel running. Thanks so much, guys. See you next time.